This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Proposed congressional maps in Texas creating quite the stir nationally.
We are doing what is legal.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Benjamin Netanyahu is under more pressure to reach a ceasefire with Hamas. Sagar Meghani at the White House.
A judge says that Sean Diddy Combs must stay in jail. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The search continues for a man wanted for killing 4 people in Tennessee. I'm Bob Brown.
How weak or strong is the U.S. labor market? That's the question being debated by economists and investors. I'm Peter Schacknow.
The DOJ launches a grand jury probe in the potential wrongdoings of Obama administration officials.
The New York Post, known for its catchy headlines, plans to launch the California Post next year. Julie Walker, New York.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Despite a call for their arrest, Texas Democrats continue to break quorum in the state's special session to delay a vote on proposed redistricting that would favor the GOP in next year's midterm elections. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
More than 50 Texas Democrats have left the state as lawmakers consider approving congressional maps that President Trump says could bring him 5 additional seats in the midterms. With their absence, there's no quorum in the Texas House, which means nothing can be voted on and no business can be taken up. Texas Governor Greg Abbott's now directing state troopers to arrest and return Democrats who broke quorum to Texas. He's also suggesting legal action to have those lawmakers removed from office, something State Attorney General Ken Paxton told WBAP Radio in Dallas is possible.
They have to take each Democrat and file likely in their county. So we're talking about 51 different causes of action, and we just have to see how the courts would rule.
Republican Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick defending the congressional maps. He spoke with Fox News.
We are doing what is legal. We are doing what is right on behalf of Texans.
For Democrats, it's a stall tactic because when they ultimately return to the state capitol, the Republican-led legislature will likely pass the maps. But it's also a way to bring the redistricting battle to the national stage. Democratic leaders like California Governor Gavin Newsom and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker threatening to retaliate by redistricting their states to favor Democrats. Some Texas House members met with New York Governor Kathy Hochul on Monday.
I have news flash for Republicans in Texas. This is no longer the Wild West. We're not going to tolerate our democracy being stolen in a modern-day stagecoach hoist by a bunch of law-breaking cowboys. Americans don't want a system that's stacked against them.
Congresswoman Robin Kelly of Illinois met with Texas Democrats outside Chicago.
And unfortunately, they're starting with Texas. But we want you to know we stand by your side.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who's a former Texas state rep and who broke quorum herself during her tenure, joined state Democrats.
They talk a lot of noise, but these guys are weak. That's why they're over here trying to bully people. Bullies are always weak. Yep, right. The difference is they expect Democrats to kind of be the nice guys that we are. They expect us to take the punch and say thank you. Well, I am here to tell you not only are we going to punch back, but we're about to beat you down.
But Governor Abbott doesn't appear to be backing down either. He's ordered the Texas Rangers to investigate Texas House Democrats on potential bribery. He says reports indicate that many absentee lawmakers have solicited or received money to evade state business. I'm Clayton Neville.
Just one day after President Trump's special Mideast envoy visited Israel and Gaza, Israel's leaders vowing to occupy the entire Gaza Strip in an effort to eradicate Hamas and bring Israeli hostages home after ceasefire talks with the terror group reached an impasse. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani.
They lie about us. They say that we're deliberately starving Palestinian children. That's a barefaced lie. Since the beginning of the war, we have let in almost 2 million tons of food for Palestinian civilians, Palestinian children. But in the last few months, this humanitarian aid has been interdicted by Hamas looting. They steal the food from their own people.
Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu is under more pressure to reach a ceasefire with Hamas amid images of emaciated Israeli hostages held in Gaza. The videos released last week by Hamas and another militant group show 2 skeletal hostages pleading for their lives.
Part of a deliberate and well-planned sadistic propaganda campaign.
Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar, a day after Netanyahu said the videos show Hamas does not want a deal. It wants to break Israel by using horror videos. The images sent tens of thousands of Israelis to the streets Saturday, demanding a ceasefire agreement, even as the Netanyahu government considers expanding the war against Hamas.
But in the last few months, that food has not been reaching the Palestinian civilians because Hamas is stealing it. So we've decided to go around it. I've authorized the Israeli Air Force to airdrop humanitarian food and medical supplies to Palestinian civilians. We invited other countries to join these airdrops, and many have. We also designated safe corridors through which these trucks can travel without being looted by Hamas.
In central Gaza, Palestinians anxiously watch the sky, cheering when planes drop parachutes with pallets of aid, running to them, and fighting over what's in them. Sagar Meghani at the White House.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. Smarter sleep is life-changing. Save up to $800 on select Sleep Number smart beds. Limited time only at Sleep Number. Among the stories we're covering next, disgraced music mogul denied bail. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. Fire risks rise along with the temperatures. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
As already strong high pressure over the southwest becomes even more extreme through the first half or so of this week, this pattern will have numerous significant impacts. For starters, it's going to be hot, with temperatures from the California-Arizona border into southern Utah and Colorado, through the Four Corners states and into the I-35 corridor of Texas, mostly 5 to 15 degrees above the historical average during what is still typically the hottest time of the year for some in this zone. This will threaten daily record highs in some spots, but the combination of growing heat, ongoing drought, low humidity, and gusty winds will result in a heightened fire risk from Southern California to southeastern Idaho, much of Arizona, and into Colorado and New Mexico. This risk looks to be the highest this week from northern Arizona to the Utah-Colorado border, and any fires that do develop will lead to poor air quality as the high pressure suppresses what would otherwise be welcome rainfall from the typical summer monsoon thunderstorms. For today's wet weather, watch for storms to turn severe with hail, damaging winds, and the risk for tornadoes today and tonight from the Dakotas into mainly northern Nebraska. A pop-up afternoon storm may build anywhere from south of Chicago into western Ohio and southward near and along the Mississippi River to Louisiana. Then expect more numerous storms from there across much of the southeast once again today, bringing an ongoing risk for flash flooding as the heaviest downpours build from the Florida Panhandle to western North Carolina. It's looking like a mainly dry day from far northeastern North Carolina through at least southern New England as Canadian wildfire smoke remains in place from those zones to the Great Lakes. In Nashville, a mix of clouds and sun leads to a spotty afternoon thunderstorm, high 85. For Yuma, Arizona, expect heat under sunshine with a high of 113, near the record of 116 from 2019. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. A judge in New York City has ruled on whether disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs can be released from jail. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer is following the case.
A judge says that Sean Diddy Combs must stay in jail while he waits for his sentencing on his prostitution-related conviction, denying the rap mogul's latest bid for bail. Combs has been behind bars since his arrest last September. In denying Combs' $50 million bond proposal, the judge says that Combs failed to prove that he did not pose a flight risk and said he was dangerous. The judge added that the record did not show an exceptional circumstance that would justify his release after a conviction that otherwise requires detention. Combs is facing up to 10 years in prison when he is sentenced in October. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The search continues for a man wanted in connection with the murders of 4 people in Tennessee. Correspondent Bob Brown has the latest on the manhunt.
Police say 28-year-old Austin Robert Drummond is the prime suspect in the quadruple murder. 3 of the victims were family members. Investigators say the bodies of 38-year-old Courtney Rose, her 20-year-old daughter Adriana Williams, her boyfriend 21-year-old James Michael Wilson, and her 15-year-old son Braden Williams were found alongside a road last Tuesday. A motive for the killings, which occurred in Tiptonville, has yet to be determined. David Roush, director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, speaking to reporters on Fox 13 in Memphis.
Working to determine all the facts of the case and to bring the identified individual, Austin Robert Drummond, in to determine what he may know about this tragic incident.
Investigators say on the day of the murder, they found Wilson and Williams' baby left in a car seat in the front yard of an individual's home. Meantime, authorities have arrested at least 4 people in connection with the case. I'm Bob Brown.
When we return on America in the Morning, striking Boeing workers want a nearly 40% raise. And economists react to Friday's job report. We're back after these messages. More fallout from Friday's jobs reports. In for Jessica Ettinger with Tuesday Business. Here's CNBC's Peter Schack now.
Most economists and market watchers are rejecting the notion that last week's weaker than expected July jobs numbers and the significant downward revision of June's numbers were manipulated for political purposes. But the idea that data collection could be improved is not in dispute.
What the president did by firing the head of the agency is not constructive in that way at all. We should be supporting them to give them more resources so they can improve their data collection and compilation of data, not undermining the agency. And I view what happened on Friday as being an undermining of the agency, which is not going to be helpful.
That's former Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester. Ironically, indications of a weaker jobs market could give the president what he wants, lower interest rates, according to Fundstrat Capital Chief Investment Officer Tom Lee.
It's, I think, a positive setup because now the Fed has more ammunition to make a dovish pivot in the fall, and it's not too late because we know the thing that they're going to stimulate is the housing market, and that is what strengthens the economy in 2026. So I think it's quite a positive setup. We're just consolidating, and then we make a bigger move higher.
In any event, the stock market is coming off a day which saw it make up most of the lost ground stemming from the jobs report. A strike by 3,200 Boeing workers continues this morning. These workers are based in the St. Louis area and work on defense aircraft, and they want what their counterparts who make commercial jets got when they ended their strike last year.
The pay package for those machinists on the commercial side, 38% raise. The contract that was rejected on the defense side by the machinists was a 20% raise. So I'm sure they're looking at their fellow workers and saying, we want closer to 38%, not 20%.
That's CNBC's Phil LeBeau. Google has agreed with 2 utilities to cut power use for its artificial intelligence data centers to ease the strain on the power grid when demand is high. The new agreements are with Indiana Michigan Power and the Tennessee Power Authority. The demand from power-hungry AI centers has often strained capacity around the country. Speaking of artificial intelligence, we'll be watching shares of Palantir today. The company has raised its annual forecast for the second time this year, thanks to booming demand for its AI-linked data analytics services. The stock has more than doubled so far in 2025. On the calendar for today, some high-profile earnings reports, including heavy equipment maker Caterpillar and drug makers Pfizer and Amgen. We'll get U.S. trade deficit figures for June this morning, as well as 2 different measures of how the U.S. services economy is doing. And if you're into donut-inspired shoes, Crocs is launching a new line on its website today. It is a joint venture with Krispy Kreme.
Thank you. CNBC's Peter Schack now, in for Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, Bondi looks at the Obama administration for potential federal crimes. After these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. Attorney General Pam Bondi has directed Justice Department prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into whether Obama administration officials committed federal crimes when they assessed Russia's actions during the 2016 election. National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard claimed at a White House news conference last month that top Obama administration officials carried out what she called treasonous conspiracy against Donald Trump using declassified documents connected to alleged Russian election interference. This latest grand jury probe marks an escalation of the Trump administration's focus on allegations of wrongdoing by Obama officials, including the former president. At a time when newspapers are disappearing, a famous New York City daily will soon have a California version. Correspondent Julie Walker reports on the West Coast plans for the New York Post.
The New York Post, known for its catchy headlines like Headless Body and Topless Bar, and for its page 6 celebrity gossip, plans to launch the California Post next year. The company announcing Monday it's adding the title to Rupert Murdoch's media empire. The new daily newspaper, website, and social media accounts will be based out of Los Angeles and cover news, celebrities, sports, and more. However, the venture is being launched when more than 3,200 U.S. print newspapers have closed since 2005, according to Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism. Still, California, the country's most populous state, has hundreds of newspapers. Julie Walker, New York.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, August 5th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
With national implications, all eyes on the battle over Texas redistricting. I'm Clayton Neville.
President Trump moves 2 nuclear submarines closer to Russia. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
Plus, familiar names enter election races in South Carolina and Georgia. A California wildfire explodes in size, concerns over grocery prices, and a Los Angeles shooting kills 2. We'll have those stories.
Perplexity AI accused of stealing information from websites. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
A monkey sanctuary in Mississippi is helping veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder find peace. I'm Ed Donahue.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. On the lookout for severe thunderstorms today, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Overall, today's risk for organized severe weather covers a relatively small chunk of the nation, but storms may turn rather potent all the same today and tonight as the disturbance that brought a few rather gusty storms to the central high plains and parts of Montana on Monday gets a nudge more to the east. This puts the Dakotas and much of northern Nebraska in line for thunderstorms that may be able to produce damaging wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour, along with hail, flooding downpours, even a few tornadoes. Coverage of less intense storms should extend back across the border to eastern Montana for a time. Farther to the east, moisture streaming northward from a persistent storm over the southeast will spread into more of the Midwest and Ohio Valley today, helping to support some thunderstorm activity, at least by the afternoon hours, as a wave of energy lifts through the area. The zone affected should include areas south of a general line from central Illinois to northwestern Ohio and straight through the Louisiana coastline. This means yet another day of especially stormy weather in the southeast, with an old front hanging on for yet another day to help enhance the coverage and intensity of downpours that have lasted since Friday. From the end of last week through today, storm total rainfall of at least 4 to 8 inches is expected from the western Florida Panhandle to far southern South Carolina, with at least 1 to 2 inches of rain from southeastern Louisiana to southeastern Kentucky, western and southern North Carolina, and through northern Florida. Smoky conditions continue in parts of Southern California today as the Gifford Fire burns on, with Canadian wildfire smoke still affecting areas from the Great Lakes through the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast as well. There may even be a window for a very spotty afternoon thunderstorm to develop from central New York into Vermont. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Texas Democrats are delaying a vote on redistricting while bringing the debate over congressional maps to the national stage. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Texas lawmakers are in the midst of a special legislative session meant to tackle a slew of issues to include flood relief in the aftermath of deadly flooding in the state's hill country. But it's the topic of newly proposed congressional maps that's front and center. President Trump has said the move could give him 5 additional seats in the midterm elections next year. Democrats believe the maps discriminate against Black and Latino voters. To avoid a vote in the Republican-led legislature, more than 50 Texas Democrats went to other states to meet with leaders there, in turn breaking quorum in the session. A move Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton told WBAP Radio in Dallas is not uncommon by Democrats in his state.
They've used the tactic now. This is, I think, the third time in 20 years. In both previous times, different governors, Perry and Abbott, they stuck to their guns. They kept calling them back. Every 30 days, we'd have a new session. They all came back, and we ended up getting a vote. We passed the redistricting maps.
On Monday, some Texas Democrats met with New York Governor Kathy Hochul, who's going after Republicans over redistricting.
Rigging the system is un-American. But here they are, flagrantly breaking the rules so they can hold on to power. With that power, they're going to inflict even more pain. But here in New York, we will not stand on the sidelines with the timid souls who don't care, will not invest their heart and soul into this battle.
Other Texas Dems met with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and leaders in that state. Congresswoman Robin Kelly among them.
I want you to know that you are welcome in Illinois. Stay as long as you want. Whatever we can do to make your stay more comfortable, we want to do that because we believe in what you're doing. You are courageous.
She said what's happening in Texas impacts the whole country.
When you want to remove 5 Democrats, that hurts us in the House.
State governors doing what they can in response to the redistricting battle. California Governor Gavin Newsom threatening retaliation by redistricting in his Democratic-led state. Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott's now ordering the arrest of lawmakers who left Texas, and he suggested removing them from office. I'm Clayton Neville.
The effort to redistrict in Texas is leading to redistricting retaliation in other states. Along with California, Democrat-led New York is planning to unveil their own mid-decade redistricting scheme if Texas moves ahead with their GOP-backed plan. And Democrat governors in Illinois, Maryland, and New Jersey are also considering redistricting options depending upon what Texas does. America in the Morning continues. Tensions rise between the U.S. and Russia after President Trump informed reporters he was moving 2 nuclear submarines closer to Russian territorial waters. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
On Sunday in Pennsylvania, the president didn't offer much detail on his plans, but indicated growing frustration with Russia's continued attacks against Ukraine.
Yeah, get a deal where people stop getting killed. They had a number that just came out that a tremendous number of Russian soldiers are being killed. And likewise, Ukraine, a lower number, but still thousands and thousands of people. And now we're adding towns where they're being hit by missiles. So it's a lot of people being killed in that ridiculous war.
The president also said he was sending Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to the region later this week.
He may be going, I think next week, Wednesday or Thursday, may be going to Russia. They would like to see him. They've asked that he meet, so we'll see what happens.
Trump's deadline for Putin to stop attacking Ukraine or face serious tariffs and sanctions goes into effect on Friday, with no signs the Russian dictator will change course. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov taking issue with Trump's decision to move nuclear submarines near his country, saying, quote, "We are very careful about any statements on nuclear issues. You know that Russia takes a responsible position. President Putin's position is well known. We believe that all must be very accurate with nuclear rhetoric." Meanwhile, Russian and Chinese naval vessels carried out artillery and anti-submarine drills in the Sea of Japan over the last few days. On social media, Trump says India is buying massive amounts of Russian oil and selling it for big profits on the open market, saying, quote, "They don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine." Trump announcing he will be, quote, "substantially raising the tariff paid by India to the U.S. in response." India responded, saying they will continue buying cheap Russian oil despite Trump's threats of tariffs. John Stolnis, Washington.
In South Carolina, Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace has announced she'll run for governor, joining an already crowded GOP field to follow term-limited Governor Henry McMaster. Meanwhile, across the Palmetto state border in Georgia, a former Tennessee college football coach with a well-known Peach State name announces a 2026 Senate bid in an effort to unseat current Democrat Senator John Ossoff. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Republican Derek Dooley, once the football coach at the University of Tennessee and also an attorney, announces his 2026 bid for the U.S. Senate in Georgia. Republicans hope to win back the seat from Democratic Senator John Ossoff.
We need new leadership in Georgia. That's why I'm running for Senate. I'm Derek Dooley. I'm going to work with President Trump, fight for you, and always put Georgia first.
Opponents have mocked Dooley for failing to publicly support Trump before now. Still, he has the backing of Governor Brian Kemp and joins a Republican field that includes U.S. Representatives Buddy Carter and Mike Collins. Dooley's record at Tennessee was 15 wins and 21 losses. He's the son of legendary University of Georgia coach Vince Dooley. I'm Julie Walker.
Coming up on America in the Morning, grocery prices continue to climb and building a better search engine with AI. That and more when we return after these messages. There's serious fire concern in the area north of Santa Barbara, California, as the Gifford Fire rages out of control. Located in the Los Padres National Forest, the blazes exploded to burn over 65,000 acres and is just 3% contained, currently threatening over 450 structures, which has led to mandatory evacuations. The Gifford Fire is burning just west of the recent Madre Fire, which was the Golden State's largest wildfire so far this year, consuming over 80,000 acres before it was stopped. Across the border in Arizona, the Dragon Bravo Fire is now considered the largest wildfire in the nation. It has decimated more than 114,000 acres amid drier than normal weather in Grand Canyon National Park and remains out of control. Shifting gears, some travelers preparing to venture abroad did not take kindly to some nations imposing new visa fees of $20 or $25. Now, as correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports, the State Department is proposing requiring applicants for businesses and tourist visas to post a bond of up to $15,000 to enter the United States, a move that may make the process unaffordable for many.
The State Department is proposing requiring applicants for business and tourist visas to post a bond of up to $15,000 to apply to enter the United States. The department says it will start a 12-month pilot program for countries deemed to have a high overstay rate and deficient internal document security controls. The proposed program would begin in just a little over 2 weeks. Affected countries would be listed once the program actually takes effect. The bond would not apply to citizens of countries enrolled in the visa waiver program and could be waived for others depending on an applicant's individual circumstances. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Also in our dollars and cents department, Sagar Meghani reports higher grocery prices are continuing to weigh on the minds of shoppers.
A poll finds grocery prices are stressing the vast majority of American adults. An AP NORC Center for Public Affairs Research survey shows about half of all Americans say grocery costs are a major stressor. A third say they're a minor source of stress. Only 14% say prices are not stressing them at all.
The price is killing me. Instead of saving money in my bank account, I'm using it in groceries.
I've tried to avoid the negative and stay on the positive, but it's very, very hard, especially when you go in the store to buy something to eat and you can't get nothing to eat. It's ridiculous.
The prices seems to go up every week, every month. But every time I come, I see the difference in the price, especially fruits.
The survey comes as prices keep rising, despite President Trump's repeated claims.
Right now, there's no inflation.
But a Thursday government report says prices did jump in June on a yearly basis. Economists warn the president's tariffs may be set to keep boosting prices. Sagar Meghani at the White House.
A young father was one of 2 people killed in a shooting that took place in downtown Los Angeles. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on the fatal warehouse party gunfire that left 6 others wounded and a shooter still at large.
2 people have been killed and 6 others have been wounded in a shooting at a music festival after party in downtown Los Angeles. Authorities first responded to the scene around 11 p.m. on Sunday to shut down a big party after officers saw a person possibly armed with a gun go inside a building. That person was arrested at the scene. After officers had cleared the area, police received a report of shots fired around 1 a.m. When the officers returned, they found 1 person dead and learned multiple people had been struck by gunfire. 1 male victim died at the scene and a female victim died at a hospital. There was no suspect information. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Perplexity AI is making claims of building a better search engine using AI, but according to one critic, they're not playing by the rules. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
AI search startup Perplexity is in hot water for scraping websites that explicitly block AI crawlers. Cloudflare, a major internet infrastructure provider, called out Perplexity for ignoring the robots.txt file, which is a web standard that tells robot search engines which pages are off limits. Their research shows that Perplexity's web crawlers hit tens of thousands of domains with millions of requests per day and bypassed the blocks by masking their identity. Cloudflare backed up their findings by setting up test sites that Perplexity's bots still scraped despite the clear restrictions in place. Perplexity spokesperson Jesse Dwyer dismissed Cloudflare's report as a sales pitch, claiming that no content was accessed and that the flagged bots aren't even theirs. Cloudflare responded by delisting Perplexity's bots from their verified list and rolled out some new blocking tools. For more, find me on X at Chuck Palm.
America in the Morning's Robert Workman has Tuesday sports.
Baseball on Monday, the Phillies flattened the Orioles 13-3. Kyle Schwarber had 2 of Phillies' 6 dingers, including a grand slam. He drove in 6 runs. Blue Jays rolled over the Rockies 15-1. Bo Bichette homered twice and drove in half a dozen. Josh Young's 3-run homer in the 10th inning pushed the Rangers past the Yankees 8-5. New York may get their slugger Aaron Judge back from the injured list tonight or tomorrow in Texas. Guardians stripped the Mets 7-6 in 10 innings. Rookie Nick Enright earned his first big league save. He's been battling lymphoma for the past 3 years.
Well, you know, for me, it's these last couple of years especially have been, I've gone through a lot of adversity and just everything that's gone on. And so for me, it's being able to reflect on those in these moments.
Enright's last cancer treatment is scheduled for this fall. Pirates scored twice in the bottom of the ninth to take down the Giants 5-4. Red Sox topped the Royals 8-5 for their 6th win in a row. Astros hooked the Marlins 8-2. Tigers doubled up the Twins 6-3. Diamondbacks drilled the Padres 6-2. Angels dropped the Rays 5-1. Brewers bopped the Braves 3-1. Cardinals held off the Dodgers 3-2, and the Reds shaded the Cubs 3-2. NFL, with the Hall of Fame game behind us, week 1 of the preseason for all 32 teams begins on Thursday. The Browns have brought in Tyler Huntley after a rash of injuries to their quarterback room. Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel have all been dinged up in camp, with only veteran Joe Flacco above the fray. Huntley was in camp with Cleveland last summer, then played 5 games with the Dolphins during the season. And the NCAA announced it will not expand March Madness for men's or women's basketball this season, with the proviso that a 72 or 76 team field could come as early as 2027. That's Tuesday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. When we return on America in the Morning, a new treatment to combat PTSD after these messages. This is America in the Morning. It was a phenomenal fall for the Fantastic Four at the box office, but was the drop unexpected? Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr answers that question.
I herald your end.
This weekend, the Fantastic Four: First Steps dropped 67% at the box office, from $117 million to $39. So, is it still a hit?
Are we safe? I don't know.
For comparison, DC's Superman dropped only 53% in its second weekend. But then again, that's a more popular hero.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Both Superman and Fantastic Four are seeing success because of another common factor: international box office. Right now, overseas and domestic numbers are close to even for both films, but traditionally international numbers tend to bring in 60% of revenue by the end of their runs.
Formula One is a team sport. It always was.
Similarly, F1 the movie is now a huge success because close to 70% of its $550 million gross comes from overseas, where Formula One is far more popular.
The theme park owners did experimental work. Maybe only the worst ones here.
Finally, Jurassic World Rebirth, which is the lowest grossing of the rebooted series and the first one not to make $1 billion.
None of what you just said is good.
Is being saved by stronger international ticket sales, amounting to $766 million worldwide so far. I'm Kevin Carr.
One of the biggest fights American soldiers face isn't just on the battlefield, but when they come back from the horrors of war. As correspondent Ed Donahue reports, some military veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, are finding help at a monkey sanctuary in the state of Mississippi.
A monkey sanctuary in Mississippi is helping veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder find peace. John Richard has been grappling with PTSD for decades.
Being out here has brought back a lot of faith to me.
It all has to do with a spider monkey named Louie. Richard volunteers his time at the Gulf Coast Primate Sanctuary. It was founded by April Stewart, an Air Force veteran who said she developed PTSD as a result of military sexual trauma.
One of my coping mechanisms has always been animals.
Louie quickly scampered up to Richard and gave him sort of a hug.
I think about the animals walking around out here knowing that nobody's going to hurt them. You know, and it just brings a peace over me. It truly does.
Stewart says PTSD was destroying her life, like a cancer.
By helping the primates learning to trust, we're also reteaching ourselves how to trust, and we're giving ourselves grace with people.
There are 3 spider monkeys, 2 squirrel monkeys, and 2 kinkajous at the sanctuary. I'm Ed Donahue.
Thank you, veterans and current members of the military, for your service. America in the Morning for Tuesday, August 5th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.